Here it goes.
We are live.
Here it goes. Going live with YouTube. Here we go. Going live with YouTube. We're going to talk about some hammers on YouTube Live. That's what we're doing today with little metal foxes on the way. Boop, boop. Hi. Here it goes. Oh, it's setting up really slow today. All right. Setting up our meeting
Just
on
like what
YouTube
of.
with little metal foxes, impress hammers. There we go. Okay. Boop, boop. All right. Hey, everybody. It's me, Jennifer, from Little Metal Foxes.
Julia from Little Metal Foxes.
And
And from Little Metal Foxes.
yes, you are. And you are live from Florida.
I am. I'm in the States right now.
I know. We're live from Seattle. So, hi. Welcome, everybody. Hey, listen. We just got a couple of giant boxes from
Loot, serious loot.
some serious loot to
Yeah.
So thank you to
Walter
Jeff.
from ImpressArt.
Thank you to Jeff from ImpressArt. We got a big box of tools to test out. I've been using Impress hammers and stamps for a long time. I love them. And he sent us their new signature line to test out and show you guys, as well as the new multifunction hammer, which I had not seen before. So this one I'm real excited by. It's got it comes in a little thing like that, but it comes with 4 different faces.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with the ball peen, which I've got in there right now. It comes with a texturing face, a little confetti face like that one.
Nice little sprinkles face of one of their many different texture stamps, which can also be used because it comes out. Yeah. I have one too. Thank you, Jeff. Because it comes out. And so it can also be used if you needed more precise placement of the shapes. You could use it and place it and strike it with one of the other hammers, right?
Yeah, like a regular stamp. But
or I guess you could put this face in and then strike this.
But you could use any of the 6mm stamping tools that they've got and change the texture in the hammer to do repeated texture. So that's one of the really groovy things about this. So it's also got a silver planishing face hammer, and not silver but steel, and a nylon face hammer. So what you do is you unscrew that on the bottom, like magic, it comes out, and then you can change it into a different hammer. So one of the things that I really appreciate about tool design is I want a tool that's going to do a lot of jobs. I want a tool that's versatile. I want a tool that, if you're spending money on it, it can do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a studio that does not have a lot of space, having a multifunctional tool saves you space, saves you money, because you're not having to buy, all those individual tools. But I have to say, I really am, I was a little worried about like how it was going to feel, and I really like the handle on this. For a forming hammer, it's like a French chasing hammer handle, which is
It has a pistol grip. And I was just going to comment on that, because with the ball peen side in particular, your classic pistol grip chasing hammer has a flat face on one side, and then it has the ball peen on the other side. But if you're going to use the ball peen, you have to flip the hammer over, and so then the pistol grip isn't really aligned properly in your hand, which I always wondered about. Right, like your really classic chasing hammers have a symmetrical handle that doesn't have the pistol grip. But once they switch to pistol grip hammers, I'm like, so if you're doing a lot of stuff with the ball peen side, that's got to be kind of annoyingly uncomfortable. But with this one, you can just put your ball peen thing on the side that matches with the pistol grip. So,
so these have,
grip and ball peen are all more appropriately aligned.
Yeah, so these have like a little notch in there. So when you put them in, it lines up and it just screws in place. So it's so it has a nice fit. And it doesn't rattle around or anything, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that you can change the texture face, because you can just like hammer the metal. And I've got some copper, so we can sort of test that out and see what that looks like. But
do you have any other 6mm stamps?
there should be some in your box there, I think.
There are in mine, but I'm asking if you have any other ones.
I'd have to look and see specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, the other hammers that they have, the new ones,
Mhm.
signature line, and this comes in a 4-ounce, a 1-pound, and a 2-pound hammer. So these are especially good when you're doing the some of the larger stamps, like the 9 and 12mm stamps that are ultra fine detail.
Mhm.
Because you have to sort of rock those around, and you have to have some impact to get that detail.
Right. So a heavier, what you're saying is a heavier hammer for the bigger stamp
Yeah,
would be really helpful. However,
you have to finesse it, those bigger stamps a little bit. So it just depends. And it's a good idea to, do some testing, so that you know
Right.
with your stamps and your hammers, which one is going to be right for the impression, how deep an impression you want, because you don't want to overstamp it and you don't want it to understamp. If you overstamp, it goes like, it widens the stamp down too much and you actually lose some detail. So you want it to go to the right depth where it will like hold some of the enamel that you can with patina and give you crisp, clean details.
Right, not deform the sheet. Because that's what I was going to say. If you're hitting a really small stamp, like one of their 2.5, or they even have some 1.5 stamps, if you're hitting a really small stamp with this 2-pound hammer, you're likely to go right through your metal if your metal's thin, certainly, or maybe even damage your stamp. So that's where the little baby one is a better fit. Right.
Those are great for finessing.
Right.
The original one that I've got here, and they all have these have like the ergo handle, which I really appreciate, is that you've got an interchangeable face. So
we need to ask Jeff how much, so when it's like the weight, is the weight of the hammer the weight of the face, or is the weight of the hammer the weight of the entire hammer with the handle?
I believe it's like when you weigh it like that. Like you put it down and you weigh it. So that's like the weight of the top of the hammer.
The head, right? Like a traditional hammer head, it would be the weight, if it's a 16-ounce hammer, it's the weight of the head, not with the handle. But because these have an integrated handle and head, I would be curious. We should get Jeff on here. I would be curious to know how this is just me being a scientist, right? Is it just this part that's 4 ounces, or is it the whole thing? And then my subsequent question is, where does that blue hammer that has the face that comes off fit in the weight family? Is it the same as the 1-pound, or?
Yeah, it's about a 1-pound.
How does it feel compared to your 1-pound there? Are they about the same weight?
So Brandy from Net Creative says she has 2 of their hammers, the interchangeable one and the original brass, and she likes them really a lot, both of them a lot, and that the weight of them is really nice.
Yeah. So it looks like the 1-pound is the same size as the original blue hammer that has a replaceable face.
Yeah, and the handle's slightly longer and has a little bit more of a hook, which is really nice because it like fits right around my finger. My hand's just exactly the right size for this. So you can hold it in, different ways, but it really is, it's actually the handle's slightly longer, which I think is really kind of nice. But and lovely. Thank you, Jeff.
I know the packaging is really nice.
Thank you, Jeff.
I love the whole new look of that line.
Signature. So
very sleek.
So the nice thing about this one, and I've had this one for a long time, and you can see it's been, well used quite a lot.
Well loved.
Is that when you're working with stamps, it's usually a good idea to work with the brass face because you don't want to, upset the end of your stamps. And this can actually take that impact and distorts the hammer face rather than all of your stamps, which really get whittled down, which you want those to last a long time. These you can usually file down and sand down, but ImpressArt made this one so the face is interchangeable, which I really appreciate.
Replaceable.
Yep. And you can take it has like a little rubber gasket in there. So it keeps it, you know, that the vibration that you might get from hammering, it keeps it screwed in so it doesn't actually come loose while you're working, which I like about this one. This is kind of my go-to. I have another one that's like a couple of pound hammer, a brass at the hardware store. But this ends up being my go-to for a lot of stuff. So I do
Yeah,
like
I have one of the heavier brass hammers too, which is great for punching out discs in a circle in a disc cutter. Because especially the big, you know, like 1.25 inch discs, you know, you got to put some serious muscle behind it. And it's nice to have a big face to hit it with. But that's a big hammer for doing stamping. I don't use that hammer for stamping because it's just too much stuff.
Yeah, you need a little more finesse when you're doing that.
I'll just use a regular chasing hammer. So I'm excited to have these guys now because I would just use a regular chasing hammer and the chasing hammer has a steel face. And so, you know, it's nice to have something that's a little softer, absorbs a bit of the blow, less bounce back, doesn't damage the stamps.
And this has a nice planishing face on it. It's just ever so slightly domed. I mean, just like ever so slightly. And the nylon face too has just, it's ever so slightly domed. So yeah, so I'm going to test these guys out here. Helen, you've got some stuff from ImpressArt too.
I did. I'm
gonna have to jump off the call, guys. But I don't want to stop you because I think people will be interested to hear what Helen is going to do with her things from ImpressArt. So it was lovely to see everyone, and I will see you all later. See you next week.
All right, bye. Yeah, Helen. So what have you got?
So I actually just ordered some stamping blanks because I wanted to do, since I don't have a studio right now, I wanted to do some small little tests of a new technique that we've been talking about in Open Studio and do some tests on these. And I also they have a new or an alloy that is, I believe, Julia said it was a tin based alloy.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be a sterling silver alternative, but it's nickel free, cadmium free, hypoallergenic, yada yada. So I'm really interested to see how that will work with what I'm trying to do.
Varnish resistant and nickel free and wearable, and yeah. So that sounds like a good.
Easy to stamp. So
yeah, right. And not as soft or weird as like pewter can be a little feels like when I'm wearing pewter. And pewter is so soft that it wears down really fast. So it's almost unwearable. So that sounds like a great alternative if you can wear it, you know, like silver, but it doesn't have the nickel in it. And
and they have I mean, all kinds of sizes and shapes and stuff, from like 1 inch strips to, you know, these little hexagons to, you know, and not all of them are actually punched. Like this copper one, it, you know, is pre-drilled, but you know, they have a selection that's not. So you can do, because these I'm gonna probably end up, if it works out, my testing, which we'll share later, you know, it'll be something I'll have to cold connect. And so, you know, should be fun. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, like something, right?
I'm sorry?
Like enamel, you have to cold connect it like an enamel.
Yeah. So
well, let's test out this here because I'm really curious about it. Let me let's see. I'm going to do this and go over here. Let me switch my camera up. Boop, over there. There we go. And yeah, so let's see what I can do here. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna do it like that. Hang on, sorry. Camera time. Camera time. There we go. Get that right there. There we are. Okay. So yeah. So the handles on these are really kind of interesting. It's a nice like French pistol grip kind of handle, and it has a screw that comes undone and that slides out, and you can see that they have like a little notch in them. So when you insert it, that screw comes up and holds those in place. So what I wanted to try here, because one, it comes with the 4 different faces. It comes with the nylon, which is great for doing some forming. It comes with a planishing face, and it's just, you can see it's just ever
Just slightly domed, yeah.
domed, great for planishing. It has the ball peen end as well, which is great for texturing and forming. And then the 6 millimeter confetti sort of
Texture stampish thing.
So this one has, there it is. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
it's like little confetti face. So, or a little like, texture. So with this, what I want to do is this one does not, the texture ones don't have that notch because you can use them by themselves, with your hammer, right? To do texturing. If you're trying to get something a little more specific, but you can put in any of the ImpressArt textures into this hammer that are 6 millimeters like that, and then tighten this down.
Which is really cool. So you have then, this huge library of textures that you can apply.
Yeah. So by that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so let's see if I can get that in nice and tight. There we go. Yeah. So I've got kind of that. I was just doing it randomly to sort of see how it would make that mark. But use any of the texture stamps to create a pattern or random texture on the surface. So this is just sort of like a mixed confetti little lines on the surface. And this is not annealed, which it should be for doing this properly. Here we go. Hello. But yeah, there's all kinds of different textures that you can use. And so I can unscrew that, pop in the planishing point, planishing head.
And the ball peen.
Yeah, sorry, the ball peen. And that'll give me that hammered pattern as well. So that's kind of nice. It's funny. I've had so many people ask me over the years. It's really crazy how many people ask me. It's like, how do you get that hammered texture on metal?
With a hammer?
You don't deserve to know. So with the planishing face, because it's just slightly rounded, it will just give you like that really subtle, barely see it, that really subtle hammer.
Yeah.
So it's just really shallow. So that's what that one does. And then this one is really good if you're doing some, some gentle forming and you don't want the metal. So it's got those 4 different tips that come with it, which I think is kind of amazing.
Now, is the nylon one, is that flat or is it slightly domed?
Slightly domed. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you can kind of see it's just ever so slightly domed.
Yeah.
And it also has that notch that locks it in place. So all of the hammer faces have that notch, but the texturing stamps don't, which makes it easy to drop in, whatever you want. One of the other things that I do like about, just mentioning this aside, about the ImpressArt stamps themselves is that they have on, when you're working with them, it has the detail of the stamp like in the mark there, and the lettering is on this side. So when you're holding the stamp, when you're working, as you're hammering, sorry, Mike. So when you're working, those letters face you. So it makes it really easy to know, like if I'm grabbing an A or an M,
right, which direction you're in.
If it's upside down or not. That way I know that I've got it in the right orientation. So once I hammer this, like, and do that, I know that it's going to give me the letters the right direction. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is facing me. So if I'm not seeing that when I'm working, I know that it's going to be off in another direction. But the cool thing, like I said, is that any of the 6mm stamps will fit in this texturing hammer. So the multifunction hammer.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's the one of the many new cool.
I know, it's so seeing the box yesterday was amazing.
Yes. So the other thing that's in the box that I do have to say is rather impressive, speaking of their hammers, is the new signature line. The new signature line has, it comes as a set or you can buy them individually, but it's, a 4 pound or 4 ounce, 2 pound, and a 1 pound. And I mean,
Yeah.
but they're really nice because they are, if you want to take a closer look at them, let me get over here again and show you some of the details on that. So the handle compared to this one, this is the same as like the 1 pound or 2 pound hammer, I think, right? Yeah. So the handles are a little broader and shorter on these, but the face is is replaceable, like I said, so you can like unscrew that and put a new one on if this one gets worn down, which that would take a lot of work. You'd be doing a lot of hammering.
Yeah.
This one is the 4 ounce. So for a little more finesse, this one's really great.
Yeah.
It does still have the brass face, which is great when you're doing stamping. So it doesn't, mess up your stamps. And, but the handles are slightly longer and they have a little bit more of like a little bit more of a handle spot. So you hold it properly. And the handles are all tipped slightly. So when you're hammering, you're actually striking.
Yeah.
That's why that handle is shaped like that.
Mm-hmm.
So square. So sometimes when you have a straight handle with a hammer, it will hit it like at a little bit of a handle like that. But when you strike it with this one, it comes down square right on the top. So
Nice.
that's why that it has a little bit more of an ergonomic handle, which they all do, which is really kind of cool. So that's the 4 ounce, but there's the other two that are much larger. And yeah, so there you go. That's kind of the introduction to the new hammers that they sent us. So thank you, ImpressArt, for
Yeah, huge thank you.
Test out and share with our peeps. Also, the it goes right back in its little holder, just like that. One of the other things that they sent us to test out are some of their letters and texturing stamps and some other odds and ends, including one of their tumblers, the new tumbler that they've got. And so we're going to be doing some tool tips and checking those out and comparing them to the vibratory tumbler and the pen finisher and letting people know how they sort of stack up and what they do that's a little bit different and how they work. So yeah, so we've got all kinds of stuff to test out.
Yay!
Guys, we've got also some of the ultra detail stamps, and the ultra detail stamps have their text, their images, their bigger stamps. This is like a 12mm stamp, so they're honking stamps. So they get a little more finesse when you're working with them. You have to like rock them around as you're stamping.
Yeah.
But they're really amazing at how detailed they can get. So we'll do some of that tool tips on bigger stamps as well. So
very cool.
Yay!
So awesome.
Thanks for joining us for tool tips.
Yay!
I know that there are so many great hammers out there, and if you're starting out and you've got, like I said, a limited amount of space, the multifunction hammer is really kind of nice to have, just to be able to switch it up and save some room and save some money. So yeah.
Yep. All good.
All right. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, ImpressArt, for sending stuff to test out, and we really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep. And a shout out to Valerie who signed on. She said, "Hey."
Hey, Valerie. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be testing some of that stuff out later. But we've got, like I said, lots of stuff to test in the coming weeks, and we've got several classes actually. I've been using ImpressArt stamps and hammers for a long time, and I've got like the Jingle Bell class, and we're going to be doing like a texturing class. And
Yeah.
being able to use, not have to make your own stamps, to be able to do patterns and mandalas and things that are really lovely surface details, and not you can get the stamps and the hammers and not have to like make them from scratch.
Yes.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys next week with more tool tips from Milton Boxes, and check out all the new classes that are coming up because we've got some good ones.
Yay.
See you soon. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.